I wanted to jump back to a point that Ivan and Zan both made about stereotypical flamboyant behavior and characters who fit sort of the standard mold. I mean, we had examples like Rawhide Kid, and then we have, I have to check my notes here, I'm sorry, I'm not encyclopedic on my comic book characters, North Star, Richter, and Shatterstar, and they get critiqued sometimes for stereotypical behaviors that are associated with gay men and the community. At the same time that the LGBT community reacts so strongly against those stereotypes, editors and authors associated with the series express their desires to go back and rewrite history or eliminate those storylines from the characters. Is it a matter of educating the editors and the authors who are creating the characters before we have the representation for LGBT youth?
Wow, that a lot to digest. Yeah. Wow, that's a big question. I think that as a gay Asian editor at Marvel Comics, I mean, as you mentioned, it's predominantly straight white guys. And I'm always super cognizant of that. And there have definitely been times where we're breaking a story and, you know, and something will come up. And it'll be because, you know, I'm Asian or gay or any number of other things. I might say, can we put the brakes on this and talk about this for a second? Can we look at this? There have been stories that, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, if you were a gay writer or if you were a gay editor, would you handle the story differently? You know, the person that's creating it. But I think that luckily, I happen to work with a lot of people who are really, really respectful and are really open to opinions and hearing other voices and whatnot. And so that's where, at least I feel like it's an environment where I can actually say, let's look at this. And there was actually in recent history a story that I you know, looked at with another editor, and we tore it down and didn't redo it from scratch, but it was a pretty big overhaul. And I think that just the fact that, at least in mainstream Marvel comics, people are receptive to that, and that they're really like paying attention and looking, I think is kind of a big deal and a big step.
When I was doing Ghost Rider Marvel, like what, 10, 11 years ago, I suggested that they do a training, like not only on orientation, but on like race and stuff like that. They got deeply offended. So, you know, it was a hard thing back then, but I'm really happy to hear the stuff you're saying right now, because the fact that you're an editor there right now and out and everything, that's a beautiful thing. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it'd be funny. I don't know how receptive they'd be now, even if I was like, I'd love to sit down with all the editors and like have gay training. You know, here's what I'll believe in. You know, but you know, I do like that. Yeah, it has developed into the kind of environment where we talk about these things. You know, I think that Axel Alonso, who's the editor-in-chief now, he is so good about interfacing with lots of different ideas. I mean, you know, being a person of color himself, I think that he's always been really, really great about trying to bring that and infuse that into the stories, even if it's on just that metaphorical level. And I think that that sensibility has kind of come with him, and that the entire staff is kind of really cool about that.
I think that, I had a thought. Where did my thought go? I think education is really, really important. I think that when you balance somebody's creative freedom and they're offering them the ability to tell the story they want to tell, you temper that with the kind of the larger picture and editorial and input from other writers and the characters that they have to share and things like that. So I think that you have to kind of strike a good balance between creative freedom and intervening when someone's about to make a really bad mistake. And I think that that's helping them to not make a bad mistake. But, you know, I mean, there are people who just want to do exactly what they want to do, and they want to fail on their own. And so I think that's valid as well. I think they're going to get the feedback, either if they get it before they publish or after, they're going to get the feedback. And I think that either way it's helpful to them.
You know what, training would be nice. I mean, if you guys just hire somebody to just do like a slight sensitivity training on certain different issues across the board, it could only enrich their writing, I think. Because, like it or not, Marvel and DC Comics, they're role models for everybody who reads them. I mean, they basically, you don't know how much, I guess you do know how much power they have for the culture of America.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one thing that shouldn't be overlooked, though, is kind of, I mean, we're all trainers ourselves, in a way, if you think about it. I feel like in some ways, even just by being on staff, I mean, not that I have any sort of like, you know, agenda or whatever, not that I want to be like known as like the gay guy, but just I think the fact that, you know, I am on staff at Marvel, and every day, you know, I can walk into an office and talk about RuPaul's Drag Race,
You know what I mean? I think in some ways it changes minds, or maybe, it gives them a different perspective or a different voice that maybe they wouldn't have interfaced with otherwise. So in some ways, I feel like, sure, we're getting there. Of course, there's that question of, how formal do you get with training or whatnot? But I don't know. I'd like to think that, I'm kind of an ambassador, of myself, and all of you guys kind of are too.
I think we're reminding people that we're not other people. We're people.